What are you streaming about it?
So the Friday show is what's this show? This show is a sort of like um it's kind of like, have you seen Stephen Crowder's Changed My Mind videos?
Yeah, I was there for your first one. What's the topic today?
Oh, okay, right. Well, I'll just re-explain the concept again anyway for new viewers because they're probably going to watch the first one because the audio is just completely screwed up on that one. So just to
Oh,
kind of
straight to in gender again.
this is the new first one, but it won't be on gender. We'll keep it interesting.
What will it be on?
Today, today's topic is I named the stream after it. It is being fat is not a disease. Convince me otherwise.
Oh, I feel like you're fishing for a particular Discord member right now.
Which one's that?
That I've said something like that. I'm against vaccine mandates. And one of the arguments is that with if you don't get a vaccine, you're more likely to clog up a hospital. I said the same thing can be said for obese people. I very much doubt you would support state mandated diets and exercise. Dan came in and he said obesity is a disease. Oftentimes people have no control over it. I know because if it wasn't, I'd be skinny. And I didn't really know how to respond to that because it's anecdotal. So I'm like, okay. Um,
Mm.
there's a lot of before and after pictures in the world. That's all I'll say. Um, but obviously I don't think you knew that, but it's kind of funny because I had that exact conversation like a week ago. Um, I don't think it's a disease either. I think it's I think it can be exacerbated by diseases. To say that the status of being an obese person is of in itself a disease is absurd,
Yeah,
obviously.
I
So,
agree.
yeah.
I actually, Dan, you are right. Dan is the one who gave me the
Okay.
idea for this topic.
Yeah,
Just
I was gonna say, I was like, do you want to see my dog real quick? You're not streaming, right? Because I don't want you to
I'm
dox me.
streaming. Yeah, we're on the stream.
Huh?
Do you mind our two viewers seeing your dog?
I don't know. It's
Very
incredible.
cute.
Put a sock on it. Okay. I should probably stop doxing myself.
We all know your address now.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming for you.
Yeah.
How do we get people in here?
Hmm?
We need people. Where do we get them from?
Um, need people go do add everybody in the announcements and plug it on YouTube and plug the Discord link. Um, but we can talk about it more if you want. I think obesity is the biggest health crisis in America, bar none. I don't think it's particularly close. The fact that like we don't talk about it is insane.
Can you put it in the announcements, please? My
I
second
put
account
it in
doesn't
the
have a
announcement.
mod. Sorry.
Oh, right. You don't. Okay, sorry. You're right. I
Yeah,
would be the one.
my second account doesn't have announcement privileges. Oh, actually, I just remembered. I need to check the audio levels on this.
Yeah, check that it works.
The ones on the last stream were just completely screwed.
Yeah, check that it works.
The ones on the last stream were just completely screwed.
Feel free to DM Zombie Killer Chick. Yeah, check that it works.
The ones on the last. Yeah, I'll do that as well.
I'm back. Feel free to DM Zombie Killer Chick.
Ah,
Yeah,
I don't
check
have
that it
zombie on
works.
here. It's a new account. Yeah, I'll do that as well.
I'm back. Feel free to DM Zombie Killer Chick.
Ah,
Yeah,
I don't
check
have
that it
zombie on
works.
here. It's a new account. Yeah, I'll do that as well.
I'm back. Feel free to DM Zombie Killer Chick.
Ah,
Yeah,
I don't
check
have
that it
zombie on
works.
here. It's a new account. Yeah, I'll do.
Is May Starwalk your real name?
Yeah,
I feel
yeah,
like no.
that is definitely my birth name. When
It's
I
one of
try and
them your real name.
Sorry,
Is one of them your? You can also not answer this question, by the way, but is one of them your real name?
no.
Okay, cool. It was
The
possible. I thought it was possible the first one was real. What?
Please, can you test the audio levels out for me? When I do it, it goes all weird. I'm not sure if that's just because I'm the streamer or if it's actually messed up.
Test audio, like check on the YouTube?
Yes, please.
Sure. I'm gonna mute you. You just keep making noise.
Okay. Testing, testing,
I'll let you
testing.
do that.
Noise, noise, noise. Testing. Good.
Keep going.
Keep going. Testing,
I'll let you
testing.
do that.
Noise, noise, noise. Testing.
Yeah, it sounds fine.
Okay.
You have to expand your screen though, because on YouTube it's only in the small corner. You just see me. So
You're a
it's
star of
just
the
one.
show.
Yeah, it's just one person at a time in the top right now. So double click and expand. Check
Should be good
OBS.
now.
Check
Should be good
OBS.
now.
Yep, it's working, and audio is better. Okay, cool. Hello, I have a new friend.
Hello, Onheim. What's your opinion? Today's topic is being fat is not a disease. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Being fat is not a disease.
Correct.
Uh, yeah, I agree. It's not a disease, definitely. But how? Who's saying it is a disease?
Well, there's at least one member of our Discord who would say that it is. Actually, no, I think two. Yeah, I met two last night, so I was hoping at least they would hop on. If not, maybe there are more people like that. How about you, Admiral Zaborfang?
Yeah, and it's not a completely unpopular position to say that sometimes obesity is just unalterable and is just like that. It's not something no one can do anything about. Not that unpopular of a position. I've heard it from lots of people in real life. So it is a thing.
I think I think there are diseases that can cause obesity, but obesity isn't a disease, is it? I think that's kind of like science behind
That's
this
the debate, isn't it?
already.
So, in my opinion, it's not. But I'm here so anyone who disagrees with me has the opportunity to put their argument forward. And uh, unlikely I'll change my mind, but maybe there are people in the audience who are sort of on the fence and they might be able to win them over.
I, I,
Admiral, oh, sorry, what were you going to say?
I thought obesity just means you heavily overweight. Kind of, it's a description of a state, not a description of a disease, isn't it? And this is kind of like
Yeah, well,
English
there are some
science.
people who think being fat is a disease, and I personally don't really understand that point of view. So it'd be good if someone who does believe that could explain it to me.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
are you healthy if you're fat? If you're obese, are you
No,
healthy?
no.
So if you're not healthy, then what are you if you're fat?
Unhealthy.
Unhealthy.
And isn't that I wouldn't call it a disease, but if you're unhealthy, wouldn't that constitute you being like wouldn't you say being fat is a disease if you're unhealthy?
No, no. It needs to define disease. Then what is? I'm driving now, so I can't see what's the dictionary definition of disease at the moment. Because then we're playing with the definition. And
Mace, are you gonna check it out?
I'll have a look now.
Right.
if your definition of disease is unhealthy, then yeah, it's a disease. But then, if if we're talking, I don't know whether that's
According
sufficient.
to Oxford Dictionary, a disease is an illness affecting humans, animals, or plants, often caused by infection.
No infection necessarily. Yeah, obesity doesn't necessarily involve infection, so definitionally it's not a disease. You could argue some disease make one more likely to become obese, and a much stronger argument is that being obese makes you much more susceptible to certain diseases. But to say obesity itself as a state of being is a disease appears to just be frankly wrong, as far as I understand, if we're going off of the dictionary's definition.
Well, according to that dictionary, of course, there are other dictionaries, and not all dictionaries
And the
agree on.
definitions tend to change.
Sorry.
The definitions tend to change recently.
Could you look up the etymology of disease? That may help.
Etymology,
Where the word comes from.
where the word fat comes from.
No, disease. Where the word disease comes. Etymology is where words come from. So how it's evolved, and then we'd understand a bit more what disease is.
Middle English, in the sense like these inconvenience. Old French, disease, lack of ease, does expressing reversal of it. Yeah, seems to come from lack of ease. I don't know if that's relevant. I don't think it is.
It's not. There's nothing that. The majority of cases, there's nothing that causes it apart from either feeling like crap or some kind of disease.
If
Or
I
feeling or
was
just
going to be
enjoying
very,
food.
yeah, let's be very generous to someone who does believe it's a disease. I think the most generous argument we could put forward for them is that some diseases can cause it, but even then, I don't see how you could call fat itself the disease, because fat is a natural nutrient which everybody has and can't live without it. And whether you have too much fat or not is, well, to some degree, it's subjective, really.
Yeah, you're really then calling greedy people diseased. You're calling just people who enjoy food diseased. Yeah, because a massive amount of people in America aren't unhappy. They just have enough money to eat as much as they want and don't really care. So they're diseased according to that definition, which is funny, but I don't think it's true.
Could
I'd
you
like to
call
hear from someone
greed
who
a
thinks.
disease, perhaps?
Say it again. Sorry.
Could you call greed a disease?
You could, but then you're stretching the definition of disease, I think, a bit. But then you just call being a human sometimes a disease, because greed's kind of just part of
Good
like a
point.
human trait.
Yeah.
But then I kind of half agree there, because I'm like a hard determinist. So I think any kind of problem that we face, any kind of bad actions aren't our fault. It's just the disease of. It's just the result of being a human and in this world. But then disease doesn't exist at all. Then really, it's just the world, the universe.
Yeah, it seems like you also don't understand the fat being a disease argument, so it's going to be difficult for either of us to play devil's advocates here.
Yeah, where are they? We can't get them speaking. Is there someone here?
Yeah, I was hoping maybe Dan or Andy would join, because they mentioned to me just last night that they do think it's a disease. And I was thinking, I mean, they're not particularly on the fringes with most of their opinions, so I figured there'd be more people in the Discord that also agreed with them because they're fairly level-headed people with most things.
I think it's definitely unhealthy, and I don't think it should be promoted like it has been. I think it's awful that it's promoted. I think it shouldn't be shamed, but it shouldn't be promoted. It seems really strange. Hey, it's really good to people who could be unhealthy and die 20, 30 years before their time just because someone's made them think it's okay to be obese. I think that's kind of wrong.
That's a good idea. Fact shaming works. Convince me otherwise. That's a future topic coming up.
Oh yeah,
Might do today.
I don't know. Not fat shaming, like not fat celebrating. I think fat celebrating's just weird. Although some people who are kind of slight, maybe classed as obese, are actually seem very healthy, but then you never ever see old fat people, and that's because they die.
Oh, I disagree there. I think most old people are fat, actually.
Have you? I mean, like really fat 80-year-old. Have you ever seen a really fat 80-year-old?
I'm guessing you're from America. And in America, I suppose you may have a different definition of fat person. I mean,
No, I'm,
I've never seen any old people the size of a whale. They usually die off before old age, but just somewhat fat, like to a reasonable degree, where I just think that person needs to lose a bit of weight. Most old people, I would say, are like that.
I mean, I like kind of how fat? Say 150. Is it kilos? Like kind of, they look kind of obese. They're not like morbidly obese, but I've never seen anyone in that age, so like 80, 70, 80. You just don't, they don't live that long. You know, but then living shorter and happy for 40 years rather than unhappy for 70. I don't know. There's another argument there.
Yes, but then there is also the saying, health is wealth.
Yeah, I personally, when I'm trying to lose a lot of weight so I can live longer, because I can feel the difference of just 10 kilos on my spine, on sleep, on all sorts of stuff. It relaxes your body. It's like your body's being constricted by all this fat. Bones and
Just
heart can't
Jim.
conflict.
What's your opinion on the topic? Today's topic is being fat is not a disease.
Just came in. Can you say that again, please?
So my opinion is that being fat is not a disease. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Being fat is not a disease?
Yeah.
Don't think I understand enough about the topic to say one way or the other. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I mean, being fat, like overweight, like what are we defining like being fat? Like a
Yeah,
certain
just being fat.
BMI or?
Just looking like a beached whale.
Yeah, I'm not. No, I'm not gonna say that because
I think if it's not good, then it's a disease.
Sorry, you
I
broke
mean,
up as well. What was that?
yeah, I think there's certainly like, some people have a tendency to have a genetic uh um to genetic ability to store more fat than others. Yeah, I don't know enough about it to really have an opinion on it.
But then that's the like the set of genes. They're not diseased. They're just kind of already determined to be. Like I was saying this earlier. They're kind of already then determined to be fat. Whereas some are determined to be skinny, some are determined to be blonde, some are determined to be psychopaths. That's when life is kind of a disease.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yes, life is a disease. If you're not perfect, if you don't have the capacity to be perfect, then it's, yeah, I could say that. I could agree with a premise that life's a disease. If you're not like God, you're not perfect, then you're deteriorating. You're like,
But you suffer
I
from
don't
the
know.
preset circumstances of your genes and surroundings to just be either fat and healthy, have autism, whatever your life's going to be that's going to give you pain that's your disease. So everyone, I've got Hohenheim disease, and you've got
Yeah.
Andy.
Oh, there we go. Andy's in the chat. So, Andy, tell us, is being fat a disease?
You know, I want to say no, but I would say that it kind of depends on how you mean disease. I think in the modern day, the way we use the word disease, we typically mean something kind of specific scientifically, but the word disease used to just mean dis-ease. So, if I remember correctly, anything that could cause you unease could be considered a dis-ease, a disease. But I don't think that's how we use it anymore. It's
So,
definitely
so
an ailment that should
would
be
you
taken seriously.
would you would you class a gunshot wound as a disease then?
No.
I wouldn't, because I don't think that's the modern usage. But I think historically you could say that you could call something like an injury a dis-ease, but I could be remembering that wrong.
Right.
I think you're correct there. I also have recollection of disease. The word disease originating from disease.
Yeah, I think
Yes,
like
it is. So yeah, yes, it is. That's why we looked up the etymology of the word. And yeah, it is. Yeah.
Would you say, Andy, that in modern times, being fat should be classed as a disease?
You know, I don't really know if I see any harm in that unless it contradicts um a more a more commonly used and understood meaning that we're using, which I think is different than the historical usage. Uh,
Just
but
can you say yes or no, please?
I honestly think it doesn't matter uh unless it causes people to think, oh, well, I'm fat, I'm overweight, this is a disease, therefore I can't do anything to stop it, or I can't lose weight or anything like that. So that's kind of what I worry about. Kind of like that episode of South Park where Stan's dad, they call alcoholism a disease, and he just keeps drinking, and he's like, I have a disease. Uh, so that lack of accountability is something I kind of worry about. Um, but would I say it's a disease myself? No, because I don't think that's how it's currently defined when we say disease. Historically, maybe, but I guess it's like what Travis says, that words don't have intrinsic meaning, they have usages.
That's disappointing. It sounded like you did think it was a disease when we spoke last night.
Did I say that last night?
Yeah.
I think you might be confusing what I said with Don Don.
No, you and Dan Dan were in agreement.
I said being fat is a disease last night?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Um,
Sorry. I might have said that and waffled on it, and I just totally forgot.
okay. Well, this stream's been an absolute fail. No one to disagree with. What do you think? Should we just call it a day there then?
I'm surprised. So no one has stepped to the plate.
No.
Oh, maybe Lexicon has got something. What's up, Lexi?
No, nothing much. Just came in here to see what was going on.
Lexi, do you think that being fat is a disease?
Being fat?
Yeah.
It's a mental disorder.
Is it a disease?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. Things just got spicy, people. What definition are you using for disease there?
A malfunction of the body's ability to operate efficiently.
Well, wait a minute. It looks like the historical use and the modern use of the word disease is not all that different because, and this might mean you could classify obesity as a disease because, according to Wikipedia, this is the first sentence. A disease is an abnormal condition that negatively affects the structure or function of all or part of an organism, and that is not due to any immediate external injury.
Oh, wow. That is a much better definition than I gave.
So that sounds like
I think that's a pretty good definition. That definition doesn't encompass being fat, though. Being fat
No, it
is
does.
not.
It definitely does.
Well,
fat
obesity is an abnormal. It's an abnormal condition that negatively affects the structure.
Being fat is not an abnormal condition. It's actually a very normal consequence of eating more calories than you're burning off.
Yeah, but you're eating more than you should, so it's abnormal.
Yeah, why you're doing that is abnormal.
In that case, the disease is not that you're fat. The disease is that you are abnormally eating too much. So that means...
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Being fat isn't a disease, it's a symptom.
Everything tastes good, basically.
No, well, okay. Not necessarily. Like, I'm fat, and that reason is because my I'm not sure what it's called. I'm going to say endocrine system, but I think that's wrong. My body's impulse control based on my gut bacteria and whatever. I'm hungry all the time. Even after I've eaten a full meal, I still feel like I'm super hungry, and that's not normal. So
okay, that's not being fat. That's having a problem with your.
In that sense, I guess being fat's not a disease, but it's definitely it's a negative
having
drawback.
A problem, having low self-control.
Could one disease be caused by another?
Oh, for sure, yeah. If you've had a prolonged disease that affects an organ and then that changes how that organ operates, yeah.
Yeah. So would it be too strange to say that whatever disease or mental problems that are causing you to eat in a way that results in you to be obese, couldn't you just say that that's one disease that is leading into another, or that they're comorbidities or whatever?
Hold up a second. I've heard a doctor actually refer to obesity as a disease. So I got a feeling that being fat, like overweight, isn't, but obesity, medically speaking, is considered a disease.
I generally prefer to use the word fat. Obesity.
Okay, well, sorry to be that guy, but I'm still on Wikipedia, and I looked up obesity, and it says obesity is a medical condition, and then when I put my cursor over medical condition, it takes me back to disease.
Okay, thank you, Wikipedia. I generally prefer to use the word fat than obesity, because obesity refers to when someone reaches 30
a certain threshold,
30 or more
really?
on the BMI scale. I personally don't subscribe to the BMI scale. I think it's a completely useless.
Because you can get
a really muscly person and a really fat beached whale can both have the exact same BMI.
Jesus.
So they can both be classed as obese, but one of them is clearly not. So I think the word fat is more accurate because we're not talking about muscly people here.
I think the definition of obesity should be changed to include BMI at a set body fat content. But
BMI isn't just about body fat though.
Yeah.
It
No, that's
takes
what
a
I'm
lot
saying.
of
So
things
it
into
should be the
consideration,
BMI coupled
which is
with.
why you don't have to actually be fat to have a high BMI. Which is
Yeah,
why I
that's why I
think it's
said.
it's completely
That's why I said the
worthless
definition
number.
of obesity should be a mix between BMI and body fat percentage, because that.
Well, I disagree with you there. I don't think BMI should be used at all because it just takes too many unlinked factors into account.
Well, it also
Could
depends
read
on
to
what
you
type of
the-
BMI scale you're using, because some nations use the one that only includes like your waist and height, and then other ones take your like wrist size and a bunch of other parameters into account. It kind of depends on what level of detail the BMI is using, because if you do like the full scale BMI test, a heavily muscled person at 300 pounds is not going to be obese. They're going to be about 26 on the scale. So
Yeah, once they reach 30 on the BMI scale, then they are classed as obese, even though they're not fat.
yeah.
I could read you the WHO's definition of obesity, and this kind of
Oh
just says
god,
they're
I
revising it.
don't give two hoots what WHO say about anything now. No thanks.
Mace, you are just a rebel, aren't you?
They said coronavirus wasn't a pandemic. Like, get lost, man.
Well, it wasn't a pandemic; it was a plandemic.
Damn.
I think they said that though when it.
Andy,
wasn't
do you
a
practice
pandemic.
these one-liners in your room?
So they were accidentally telling the truth. No, I guarantee you, I'm not the first person to say that.
Yeah, he sits in front of his mirror just telling himself one-liners.
Yeah, I'm constantly looking at myself in the mirror like, this time you're gonna make it big, kid.
Honestly, I'm surprised you're not a movie star. You mix the glasses and your personality together, and it's a fucking riot. It's great.
It's just because I'm too short. That's the only thing preventing me.
Seriously?
No,
just
I
go to
don't.
China and get
I
that
can't act.
that height extension surgery.
I don't think I can act. Although I don't know if I'd want to. But
You just
anyway.
they just break your legs, put a couple steel studs in there, and then the bones grow back, and you're like an inch taller.
Anyway, where are we on this issue, gentlemen?
Oh, well, so far, Lexicon, I don't think you would have convinced anyone, or at least you certainly haven't come close to convincing me that being fat is not a disease. Do you still think it is a disease, or have I perhaps convinced you otherwise?
Yeah, I'd say just being fat alone isn't a disease. It's a symptom of a larger problem. But I would say when it reaches a certain stage, then it's definitely considered a disease, because then it's self-feeding. If you get fat enough, it actually encourages your body's metabolic rate to operate incorrectly, and encourage further.
I would disagree there. I think that your body's not operating incorrectly at all. If anything, I think your body has evolved to store fat as much as possible, and actually, people who burn less fat and store more fat, those people would have been more likely to survive in times of famine. Because
that is it operating incorrectly, because your body's supposed to store fat, but then if you store too much, it turns into a feedback loop, and you stop operating at a normal healthy weight and start craving this state of being overweight.
That is your body working normally, but your environment is not normal because you've got technology and you have no reason to starve. But in nature, you would starve.
Mm.
Hey, mates, did Don come in?
No, he didn't, unfortunately.
I kind of didn't think so, because he doesn't. If he finds a really big enough disagreement, he won't see point in contending with it for too long.
What do you mean?
I mean, like, if he thinks that something someone says, like, if he disagrees with it enough to where he thinks it so ridiculous, he doesn't see the point of dealing with it too long, because he sees it as like akin to trying to like argue about what reality is, when it should be like black and white, but to the other person it's not. I don't really think I disagree. I don't really think I agree with that perspective. I don't think I entirely disagree with it either. But yeah, either way. That's why I wasn't willing to argue with me too much when I believed in flat Earth.
Right. Okay. Oh yeah, I remember him mentioning the flat Earth thing. I think it was a shame I didn't know you when you believed in flat Earth. I would have liked to have debated you on that.
I mean, I would say that could be your next topic, but I really doubt you're going to get people coming in disagreeing. Although I don't know how many there might be flat earthers in the Discord. I really don't know.
Unlikely. No. Are there
I mean,
really
you
any
could.
flat Earthers left? They don't exist. There's like 2 people in the world.
I heard a lot of people in Brazil think the Earth is flat.
Nah.
Like a weird amount of people. Anyway,
I would be surprised.
Anyway, so
Oh, yeah. So apologies to all 2.5 people who will ever watch this episode. It's probably been quite boring. I didn't realise this topic would be so uncontroversial. I'll definitely try to pick a more controversial topic next time on Convince Me Otherwise. How do I stop?
what
Oh, there we go. Right.
do you
Okay, right. Okay.